Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Bell Astrology Podcast. I'm your host and astrologer, Ashley, and we are in eclipse season, if you haven't noticed. We need to talk about this. And so today's episode, we are diving into this powerful moment in the cosmos. We have a full moon lunar eclipse happening in the sign of Pisces. It's happening on September 7th at 15 degrees of Pisces. So you want to write this down. September 7th, 15 degrees. 15 degrees is exactly middle of Pisces. So the degrees of a sign are 0 to 29. So this is right in the middle. It's very important. It's going to be exact, the full moon that is going to be exact at 1:09 p.m. here in the central time zone, with the eclipse peaking just moments later at 1:11 p.m. Of course, we would have a full moon lunar eclipse at 1:11, an angel number. Angel number meaning that your thoughts hold great power in shaping your reality. Of course, Pisces would bring us some magic into everything that they do. So this is such an aligned time. Now here in Central Time in North America, we won't see this eclipse because, well, middle of the day, but it's still happening. From a full moon perspective, this is called the corn moon because, or harvest moon, because it's named after the harvests of the season that are coming to a culmination. And it's always a time of gathering, of reaping, of releasing. But as an eclipse, it carries an even deeper layer of fate, of change, of transformation. And so I want to talk about this in this episode because I think we hear eclipse season, we talk about it as it's happening, but what does it mean? Why should we care? Why is it so chaotic? So, eclipses are turning points. They act like cosmic course correctors, and that means sudden shifts. That means endings, that means beginnings, that means revelations can unfold very quickly. They bring what is hidden to light. They bring the shadows to our awareness. And so this particular eclipse, I want to go back because it's a full moon. I want to go back to February 27th of 2025. What was going on for you then? Because that was the new moon in Pisces. And so pause for a moment. What seeds did you plant under that new moon? Because now that we have reached the culmination of that Pisces cycle, we're under a full moon and it's a lunar eclipse. What's revealing itself now, what is surfacing, carries such a deeper meaning. It carries this thread that has weaved itself through your life. And we're going to talk about some more dates to try to reveal what that is for you. So, when we have this eclipse on September 7th in Pisces, this is such a powerful cosmic event that we all experience. And the reason why is because eclipses are tied to the nodes of destiny. Okay, so let me explain. Everyone has their own north node and south node in their birth chart. Your north node is in a sign and it's in a house, meaning it is in a specific area of your life in your birth chart. The north node represents what you came here to grow into. It represents your growth, it represents your soul's destiny. I call this in astrology your key to enlightenment. The more that you learn to embody the highest essence of this sign and apply it to that area of your life, the more you will feel that you are living with your purpose and you're working with your natural design. Now, exactly opposite that sign and house is your south node. And so your south node shows you where you came from. You come into this life as your south node, and that with that you carry all your past lives, your past life experience. And so what you are, what we all are doing is we are growing towards our north node. We're not completely ignoring and walking away from our south node because that's how we got here. We want to take those lessons and apply them in the highest regard as we transition towards our north node. And so when we go through an eclipse season, even though this eclipse is in Pisces, which means that the south node right now is in Virgo, even though that's happening on a collective level, it's still activating all of our individual north and south nodes. So this is why eclipse feel so fated. They feel life altering because our own cosmic stories are getting stirred awake. And so this current eclipse series, they always happen in a series, this is unfolding on this Virgo Pisces axis. So they're always opposite each other because the north and south node are always opposite each other. And so this is this axis between order and surrender. Virgo is order, Pisces is surrender. So Virgo teaches us to refine and to purify and to organize, where Pisces teaches us to release, to trust, to merge with the greater whole. And so together, this cycle is pulling us between structure and flow, between discipline and faith. And so this lunar eclipse in Pisces is actually the second in this series. The first one happened September 17th, 2024. So think back to where you were last year around this time, because that was when we had the lunar eclipse in Pisces. And then we had another, the Virgo opposite, happened in March, so March 13th of 2025. And so if you think back to September of last year, what was beginning for you then? What has shifted since then? This was the start of that chapter. And this Pisces eclipse now is illuminating that next breadcrumb in your story. And so if you are one of the mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius, especially if your sun, moon, rising are one of those signs, you're going to feel this eclipse most strongly. Oh, and if your nodes are in Pisces or Virgo, this is going to be specifically a very growth oriented, life changing portal for you. Now, here's the imagery that makes this lunar eclipse more powerful. Follow me here. So, normally, a full moon, we have the moon is reflecting that bright sun's light, right? But during an eclipse, the earth gets in the way. And so the moon is now reflecting Earth's shadow. And so now, because the sun represents our identity, it represents our outer reality, and the moon is our inner world and our emotions. What we are actually seeing in the sky is a mirror of what we are all experiencing collectively from an emotional perspective. A shadow is being cast across our emotions. It's a collective emotional metamorphosis. And so the sun and the moon, they're normally our constants, right? They are the lights that we rely on, but during eclipse season, they change. They darken, they disappear, they turn blood red, they shift form. And so they're showing us exactly what we are experiencing on the inside. Massive perception shifts, endings, beginnings, sudden reroutes. And so eclipses happen very fast. They accelerate our timelines. So for one person, something may be ending. For another, it may be beginning, a new doorway is opening, but all of this happens with speed. So if you've been feeling like time is on warp speed right now. You're more tired, you're unsettled, you're more irritable right now. You're not doing anything wrong. You're right on time. This is eclipse energy. So the last time that we had eclipse on this Virgo Pisces axis was 2015 to 2017. So if you want to kind of figure out your own eclipse story, what was shifting for you during that time frame? Because you might see similar themes coming up right now. So this current eclipse portal, it opens on September 7th, and it's going to run, we're going to have a 2-week window, because on September 21st, we're going to have a new moon solar eclipse in Virgo. So between these dates, we can all expect some rapid change, some growth, some acceleration, some shifts happening. Eclipse season does not let us stall. It pushes us forward. It forces us to face maybe some things that we've been avoiding in order to propel us on the path that we are destined to walk. And so the question is, what is your eclipse story? What makes this one even more potent is if we look at the astrological landscape of what's happening coinciding with this eclipse, all of the outer planets, nearly all of them, are at they're sitting at either the very last degrees of the sign that they're in, or they're in the very first degrees of the sign that they're in. We are standing in this time that is 1 foot in the old world, 1 foot in the new world. September is this doorway. And what ends around this lunar eclipse in Pisces on September 7th? Well, consider that clearing space for what will begin under the solar eclipse in Virgo on September 21st. Now, this is a Pisces lunar eclipse, and Pisces reminds us, what's the message here? That answers don't always come through logic. They don't always come through spreadsheets. They rise up through intuition, through our imagination, through our dreams. And so a Pisces eclipse calls for us to let go of control. Trust what we can't see. Lean into the unseen and let that guide us forward. So what this may look like, what you may experience over the next few weeks, is some sudden clarity. Sudden clarity around a path that you're on, a job that you're in, a relationship that you are in that feels like it's complete. This feeling of being drained by something that once excited you. This sense of grief, of loss, of old cycles, old parts of you. Or that liminal feeling. That liminal feeling that your soul has already moved on, but your body and your routines, they haven't caught up yet. And so this is all natural. The eclipse is saying trust. Trust in the unfolding. Even if the new hasn't revealed itself yet, as uncomfortable as that is, this is knowing that you are being guided, right? Because this is a lunar eclipse, and since this is the moon, it's our emotions. Lunar eclipses are often highlighting relationships, whether that's with yourself, with someone else, with your spiritual practice, your spiritual beliefs. All of the medicine, we boil it all down. The medicine here is compassion, not analysis. That in the spirit of Pisces, drop into your heart. Try not to overthink this too much. You already know what to do. You already know the answer. So rather than feel, or rather feel than force. Okay? So also want to remember that Pisces is deeply psychic. So you may notice heightened intuition, vivid dreams, stronger synchronicities, because Pisces doesn't speak this language of logic, it speaks in symbols and synchronicities. You may feel like you are connected to something bigger than yourself. The veil thins during eclipse, and Pisces reminds us that however foggy it gets, however uncomfortable or sad or heavy, that your heart is your compass and you can trust that. That's your own inner guidance system. Now, this eclipse is not happening in isolation. It's not just the moon. The moon in Pisces is sitting opposite of the sun and Mercury, and they're in Virgo. So that means Virgo is our anchor. So our routines, our health, our grounded practices, Virgo holds the container. That container that allows us to swim in this dream, these Piscean waters without getting lost. It's our tether. It's a tether to the physical. It's about, it's not about one or the other. It's not just about choosing order and structure and ritual or surrendering, letting go, and flowing. It's not logic or intuition. It's holding on to both. We need both. And so it's one foot on the ground with your head in the stars, right? And so let me ask you this. Where in your life, just tap into your intuition here, where in your life do you need to surrender? And surrender is not just about letting go. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It may be going all in. Going all in that direction that you know you need to go. But inevitably, not everything can come with you. So where do you need more ritual, more order, more support to feel safe enough to surrender or safe enough to let go? Now, it's really helpful to know your chart during eclipse season, to know what houses, what areas of your life this is happening for you. It can really help you to make sense on where to focus, what your eclipse story is. And so just to give you high level, if you know your chart, if you have Pisces or Virgo, let's say in the first house, that means the other one is in the seventh house because they're opposite. So your eclipse theme is this theme around the self, you, and your relationships. It is who you are becoming and how that shifts your partnerships. Now, if you are between the second and eighth house, this is about money. This is about money and resources and your self-worth, versus shared energy, intimacy, transformation. What is yours? What is shared? What is ready to be released? If this is happening between your third and your ninth house, this is everyday learning and communication versus wisdom, versus travel, versus spiritual perspective. If this is the fourth and the 10th house for you, this is home and family versus public life, work life, career. Okay? If this is the 5th and 11th house for you, 5th house is creativity and romance and pleasure, and the 11th house is community, is groups, it's the collective, serving in a big way collectively. And finally, if this is between the 6th and the 12th house for you, this is health, work, your daily rituals versus rest, versus surrender, versus the unseen. And so wherever this eclipse falls in your chart, that's where endings, beginnings, course corrections are playing out. So just some advice how to work with this. Notice, pay attention, spend some time checking in with your heart and your feelings. But the simplest things, it's not complicated. activated. Rest more than usual. Even though it's a full moon and often we are restless and we find even less sleep during this time, try to put rest as a priority. Drinking lots of water. Pisces is a water sign, and so the body needs that, and it needs that flow. Um, Journaling. Journal your dreams, your visions, any messages that come through in synchronicities. If you're noticing angel numbers, if you're noticing things repeating or showing up for you, take note of that. It's all important, I promise you. And don't rush any decisions. Although it feels like we may be going at warp speed, eclipse energy, yes, things can happen really, really fast, but also this lingering energy can linger up to 6 months. So if you have that ability to take a breath, take a beat, do it. Give space for that clarity and just that clarity to drop in. Okay. And really, above all, the simplest thing is just from Pisces, the wisdom of Pisces is let your heart lead right now. This is truly an invitation to trust your inner compass, even when that map is not clear. I feel this so, so deeply right now. It is so personal. This eclipse is happening on my moon. So I'm a Pisces moon. So my Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, Gemini, I feel you. It's a lot. If you want to talk, you know how to find me. But for me personally, my innermost sacred world is shifting. And so I am just giving myself grace. I am trying to slow down, even though everything is happening really, really fast. I'm trusting in my own beautiful heart. I'm acknowledging there's fear and this lack of certainty, and sending myself as much compassion and trusting in the process and that everything is going to be okay. That this was always the plan. That I am safe and I am guided and I am love and I am magic. And so, with that, I want to wrap up this episode. I want to leave you though with this reflection. What is leaving now? Think about. You probably already know the answer. What is leaving now? And creating space for something new to arrive under possibly that Virgo Moon Solar Eclipse on September 21st. Let this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces be your surrendering point, a softening into the flow of your highest path. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for sharing in this powerful moment with me. Timelines are shifting. The world is shifting. We are all shifting too. So if you are seeking clarity or a channel to connect deeper with yourself, I invite you to book a private reading with me. Just head over to ashleybelastrology.com and we can discover and uncover what your eclipse story is all about. Since we are in Virgo season, Virgos, this is your time. This is your birthday month. And so don't forget about your birthday gift. You get 15% off your reading when you book during your solar return month with me. All you need to do is schedule your appointment and during your birthday month and write solar return in the checkout and you'll receive that discount. And even if this isn't your birthday month, you can schedule ahead or book ahead to whenever your solar return month is and you get that discount. I also wanted to remind you guys, if you're not aware, that I send out a newsletter a couple times a month. And it has insights, more in-depth astrological insights, current events, things that I'm working on, personal updates from me. So if you want to get on that list, if you'd love to stay connected in that way, you can also sign up for that on my website, ashleybelastrology.com. I am wishing you guys a beautiful, mystical full moon lunar eclipse. May it bring you peace, clarity, alignment. Until next time, from my heart to yours.